it doesn't matter what your offerings are if people don't know who you are, where you are, what you do. And all of that comes from branding, correct?
100%. In today's world, people, a lot of gym owners miss the boat when it comes to marketing.
Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome to Masters in Fitness Business Podcast, where you get to stand on the shoulders of giants. And today I have a returning giant, Mr. Justin Brown, the branding expert, and he's coming to us from Mexico City, Mexico, in this wonderful new brave world we live in, where you can work from anywhere, which gives you the freedom to live anywhere. And my man, Justin Brown, takes advantage of that till it's fullest. You've been down there for what, 9 months now?
No, I've actually just been here just a little under 4 months.
Four
I'll be
months.
here. Yeah, I'll be here for about another 2 months, I think.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. And he was on before talking about branding. I think the name of the episode was Branding 101, because that's where a lot of people need to start. But he's shifting the focus of his business from individual trainers to gyms and studios. And so we're here to talk about that and some of the shifts that he has to make, some of the common mistakes business owners and gyms and studios make when they're talking about branding. But we're going to get into all of that. But first, Justin, welcome back to the show, man.
Thank you so much. I am so
Yeah.
honored to be back. I always have a good time here.
Yeah, same here, man. Same here. And I was glad to hear that you had such a positive response from the last episode. You said you got several new clients out of it.
Yes, your viewers are amazing. I had so many people reach out and inquire about my services and just want to learn more about how to grow themselves as a brand and how to grow their Instagram and grow more, or get more impact. So I am definitely appreciative to your platform for opening those opportunities.
Yeah, no, that's great. And hopefully the same thing will happen with some businesses, because I know, especially now with COVID and coming out of COVID, branding and marketing are going to be so critical, because as we open back up, as the economy opens back up, then the noise level right now, the noise level is pretty low. But as
Hmm.
the economy opens back up, it goes up. And right now, online is the place to be for a lot of the new businesses. And that's where the branding takes place, correct?
Undoubtedly. And you just said something that's very powerful. You just mentioned when things open back up. So, an example or a story that I'll share is my mom. So, my mom is the reason why I got into fitness. She lost over 100 pounds. She's a diehard in the gym, sun up, sundown type person, religious. So now that we've gone through COVID and she sort of built her own sanctuary at home with her own equipment, she's got her own routine now. She's considering not going back to the gym.
Yeah.
So the gym owners or people who do own these spaces, these studios, are going to have to learn how to pivot themselves so that they can reach out to those people who have developed these online routines, and they're gonna have to win people over in a big way because again, COVID really exposed how easy it is to be online. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're not already marketing your business or doing the things that are required of you as a business to stay open online, then you're just not going to succeed moving forward.
Yeah. And even if you want to maintain a primary brick and mortar location and do face to face business, you still should have some type of online or streaming option. I mean, because that is not going away moving forward. And like you said, your mom isn't the only one that's taking that route. In that they're figuring out that, hey, what's the least amount of fitness equipment I need to stay in shape, and how do I do this in the comfort of my own home. So I think that's definitely, and we have a guest coming on who sets up kind of streaming service and online businesses for
Wow.
trainers and gyms. So, but it doesn't matter what your offerings are if people don't know who you are, where you are, what you do. And all of that comes from branding, correct?
100%. In today's world, people, a lot of gym owners miss the boat when it comes to marketing. And here's what I like to say about this. If you go to a business and they don't have a credit card set up, if they're not able to take your credit card or some type of digital payment, you kind of look at that company like, what's your problem? We are in a day and age when everyone's got plastic that swipes cash. Like, why
Mhm.
aren't you up to date? That is exactly what people are thinking if they happen to come across your studio, or if they try to look you up. If maybe you're getting some good word of mouth, but if you don't have a digital footprint, it hurts your credibility. You may be the best gym in the world, but if
Mhm.
you're not set up in a way for people to see you, if you're not visible and getting that exposure, your greatness is simply going to be unseen.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point. The analogy that comes to my mind is the old lady in the grocery store line who's writing her check, holding up the line.
Yes.
So you don't want your business to be that old lady writing her check in the grocery checkout line.
Right.
So
And you
yeah,
know what?
coming to the modern age. Yeah.
And you mentioned products and services. At a core, at a base minimum, gyms need to be able to offer a hybrid type of training. And what I mean by hybrid is a type of training where people could do maybe 50%, 30% of in work, where you have a
Mhm.
client that maybe meets you or comes to your facility 1 to 2 times per week, but then they
Mhm.
can have an online aspect of accountability or programs that they can follow that way. That opens you up to more people, people who travel, people who may love you but may not want to come to your facility all the time. Now that you're at least able to offer that type of a hybrid program, that gives you another stream of income and
Mhm.
gives you another way of getting more exposure. But at
Mhm.
a bare minimum, gyms need to have that as a product or service.
Yeah, it could potentially be a worldwide audience that it opens you up for. But I want to dig into the branding 101 for businesses, for
Yeah.
gyms and studios. So, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see gyms and studio making when it comes to their branding?
So this is in no particular order, but one of the very first things that I see with gyms is that they don't know when to outsource for lead generation, for social media marketing outreach. They don't know when or how, because they end up getting bombarded with a bunch of people who make these claims of being able to do this and do that. And then it's like, well, how do I know who's what? How can I tell who's credible? And unfortunately, sometimes you got to kiss some frauds in order to find your prince. But it's just one, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. But one of
Uh-huh.
the biggest components, though, is that a lot of times gym owners are afraid to make that move, or they're afraid to reach out and hire someone. And it's because of the second thing that I see, which is that they think that they are the marketing expert. They think that they are the gym owner, the marketing expert, the Facebook guru, the Instagram person. Like, they think that they can wear all of the hats. And while that may be true to some degree, because I'm sure they're running a wonderful business, there are aspects of your business that may not require you, but there are aspects of your business that are required. For example, marketing, lead generation, getting exposure. Those are things that are required. However, they may not be required by that business owner or by the gym owner. So knowing when to outsource, knowing when and how to delegate, those are some of the main issues that I see with gym owners.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because when I think, and I've been guilty of this too. Um, I've been guilty of everything I've accused other gym owners of doing. So it's the famous line on this show when I get successful gym owners. They go, "Well, I wouldn't recommend this, but this is how I did it." But
There you
anyway,
go.
but you feel like, or less, I felt like I was the only one who truly knew my vision, in trying to get that across. But and that's true. I set the culture, I set the tone because it is my business. But there are people that I can talk to, impart my vision onto them. And their expertise is marketing, digital ads, or content, or accounting. Like you said, there are parts of your business that you may not want to do, but there are parts that you have to do. And
Mhm.
so I hate accounting. I'm a trainer. What do I know about accounting?
Right.
So I farm that out, right? So that at the end of the year, I got my quarterly estimate. I don't get stuck with a big tax bill, or anything else along those lines. So the same thing is true with the marketing and the lead gen, because you're absolutely right. There's all of these so-called gurus or experts out there. I can get you 500 leads. Great. What kind of leads are they? Are they qualified leads? Is it a free offer? People just kicking the tires? So that's on the lead gen part. And then on the other half is, once you get those leads in, do you have a system? Do you have a funnel to plug them into, so that you can, one, track your numbers, so you can see how your system's working and tweak it where you need it to be tweaked. And two, well, I guess one is, do you have a system, or are you the bottleneck in the business, meaning everything's got to flow through you in order to put it into the business? And if
Mhm.
that's the case, then you're the bottleneck in the business and you need to
That's
fix
it.
that. Yeah.
You just touched on something that I wanted to elaborate on, and it's something that I know is a common fear with a lot of gym owners. You said, you are the vision of your business. It's your baby. It's what you live and breathe, and I totally understand that. However, I think you might agree with me. Uh, your clients, for example, you may have some that want to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
There are a million different ways to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
But if they just follow at least one system, they're going to see success.
Mm-hmm.
So the same could be said when it comes to you and your vision. You can have the vision, and that's something that no one can ever take away from you. However, there are some undeniable facts about growing and getting exposure for your business. We know by scientists and by analytical data that if you do certain things within a strategic manner, you will get more attention. And if you have more attention, you will get more exposure. So you can be the business owner, you can have the vision, and it's definitely important that you're able to consistently articulate what that vision is and make sure that people who are around you are able to reinforce that mission. But again, the support of that mission or the support of your vision is not always on you. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
be the dreamer, the doer, the giver, the all of that. You can, it's okay to just be the business, or to just be the vision, and
Mm-hmm.
know that, like you mentioned earlier, okay, if I know that this is my vision is going to need an accountant, my vision is going to need a website, my vision is going to need outreach, my vision is going to need someone to close these sales. It doesn't have to be me, but it's a part of the vision. So now I know what I need to delegate. I know who I need to be looking for. I know what avenues I need to be taking to support the business. Again, even though it may not be me doing all the work. And that's where you would want to find a branding agency. You would want to find a mentor or a coach who's able to help you fill those gaps that are missing.
Yeah. And I agree. And the other mistake that I make, that I accuse everybody else of, is that when I always try to reinvent the wheel. So I remember I hired a marketing company, and they were curating my ads for me. And I'm like, and they're like, okay, this is how we do it. We take step one, step two, step three, step four, right? And this is a proven system. It will increase your revenue, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, yeah, but we like to do things a little bit different here, because we have this vision, and it's unique. So I want to tweak this, and I want to tweak that, and I want to tweak that. And then before you know it, what they have been doing for other people is unrecognizable. And then the tweaks you make actually maybe don't make it work as well for you. And then your conclusion could be, well, this shit doesn't work, right? Instead of sticking to what's proven. And hey, the wheel's already been invented, just put it on and let's roll, right? So I think you have to trust the experts.
When I come across clients like that, which is common, I give them the analogy with, I use a lot of fitness analogies because obviously
Hmm.
it's a business, but I teach them that there was a point in your fitness career, in your fitness journey, when whoever was teaching you or whoever was showing you, maybe they showed you enough and you started realizing maybe the way I do push-ups is a little bit different than the way I'm being taught. Or maybe the way that I exercise or get results is a little bit different. So it's okay for you to see that you have a different vision, but again, there are just some undeniable steps that can be taken that should be followed in order for you to get success. We know that you can get success from doing push-ups a million different ways, but if you follow the proven strategies, if you just you have the vision, but just give it and just trust the process is basically what I'm trying to get at. Like you just mentioned, you just got to trust the pros, just trust the process. Sometimes there are things that we just have to give up and say, look, it just is what it is. I just know
Hmm.
that I got to put one foot in front of the other. I got to deal with these ugly days in order to get to the pretty days. I got to go
Hmm.
through the fire in order to get to the rain and blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah. But if you can just keep that in your mind, it tends to be a little easier and a little more bearable.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And then, like branding, the way I've been told about branding is you have to tell your story to your clients before they make up their own story about you, right? So,
Word.
what's the best way that gyms and studios can do that?
So, well, one is, of course, using guerrilla marketing techniques. So, having a placard that literally outlines what your mission is, who you serve, and what you are about as people come into your facility. Making sure that your brand's message and everything about what you stand for is in a bio or is in some type of somewhere on your website for people to learn more about you. Your story should be, you should be able to share bits and pieces of your story with all of your clients, with all of your workouts, and just be able to talk about different aspects of your story that have helped you become the person that you are. The more that you share, the more that people become relatable and the more that people understand why it is that you do what you do. Because we're all in fitness, we all love getting results, but that's just not enough. I
Hmm.
get a lot of people who follow me and connect with me because they see the relationship that I have with my mom. I'm always talking about how my mom inspired me
Hmm.
with fitness. And they're like, oh my goodness, I connect with that. And if I talk about how, just whatever, it's just the way that I share my story that it draws and connects with other people.
Hmm.
Also, one thing, when it comes to branding with gyms, when it comes to reaching out and having a voice, you have to remember that your clients will create your brand for you. The more that you can impact your clients within your gym, it sets the tone for everything else. Everything.
Yeah.
People will start talking about you. People will literally come to your gym because they understand why you're in business, why you do what you do, and they just want to support the cause. They just want to be there to support your energy. But I think a lot of times go ahead.
Well, I I definitely want to unpack that last thing you said, but I think and I think the techniques are a good starting point, but I think even further than that, I'd like to kind of step back a little bit and talking about clarifying your message, like distilling it down to its bare essence so it can be said like, what do you do? Boom. It should be like one or two sentences, or like, what is the marketing message that you're trying to get across to? Like, and then you have to, before you start distilling that message, you have to even take it a step back and say, who are my clients? Who do I want to attract? Who do I want to go after? Who do I want to pay me for what I do? And so once you get inside their head, then that helps you start clarifying that message and getting it out. Correct?
Undoubtedly. And let me give you two examples of techniques that my clients have used in their gyms to instill their message and get their brand story out. So there's a gentleman who owns 24-hour fitness. He owns a franchise of it. So one of the ways that I've helped him build rapport with his gym is he's created a weight loss wall. he's on that weight loss wall because he's got a journey that he wants to go through. Every month they go through, they weigh the clients who are on the wall, and it turns into a sort of game, a competition, friendly camaraderie within the community. Now, this is doing a number of things. One, it's letting people know that this is a gym owner who cares about his community because he's in the community with this challenge, letting people know, hey, this is something that I experience. I relate to this. I get it. Let's do this together. It also shows people that he's got a gym going on. It gets people out there. It lets people know, hey, I'm losing weight at this gym. I'm losing weight with with this guy. He's owning his gym. It's a wonderful experience. So that's one way that he's consistently getting his story out. Now, his story is about alcohol abuse. He was a severe alcoholic. It destroyed his body, destroyed his liver, and made him gain a bunch of weight. And then he turned to health and fitness, but he's still got a lot of issues that are related to that alcoholism. So when people come to him and he's able to articulate his story and explain why he's in health and fitness, because he had this severe past and he uses health and fitness to cope and so on and so forth, it makes him more relatable to the community and people are much more drawn to him. Now, let's switch gears and go to a different story about a woman named Pam. Pam is a sexual assault survivor. Pam owns a gym. Pam has a chair. I was going to call it a charity account, but it's like when people donate a certain amount of money to her charity, it's not a charity. I'm not using the right word, but when you donate a certain amount of money, she either gives you free access to the boot camp or a discounted rate, depending on what you donate. That's an amazing way to continue explaining to people about her story of sexual assault and how she uses that money to give back to local shelters and help other women overcome. So now when women come to her for health and fitness, she's able to relate to them on that level of saying, you know what, I'm a sexual assault victim. It didn't take my life. It didn't make me a horrible person. Here's what happened to me and here's how I'm using fitness to cope and to overcome. So I hope that those two examples share how people can use their personal stories to become more relatable, to instill their brand message, but still grow their gym and still get more exposure through their personal story.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And then it also, well, it ties in with uh, the story is the person, right? That's what people follow. That's what people are interested in. They're interested in stories. I mean, that is the most effective form of communication or transferring information in the history of man. Before there was a written word, there were stories. And that's how information got passed on from generation to generation before we started writing it down. So stories are really still incredibly powerful. So if you can weave your story into your brand, then that captivates people for sure. And I think that also kind of ties into that. I want to circle back to that point where you said where clients can set your brand. So when clients start buying into that, and then you have those walls, or you have the community, or the contests, or challenges, or events, or whatever you want to call them, then, or if you have a charity, I assume her cause was something about supporting sexual assault victims, which would be right in line with her story and her brand. Then when the clients get involved, then they become part of your brand as well. Is that what you're referring to?
100%. I literally could not have said that better. You sum that up absolutely perfect.
Yeah. And then going back to the original point that I was talking about in deciding who your demographic is and distilling your message to speak to that demographic. I know because I have a huge announcement coming up for the podcast. I know I talked to you a bit about it, but I've been doing some of the branding and the messaging work preparing for the launch. So when I went to get the logo, and thank God I have my girlfriend, but I designed the logo and I'm like, oh, I really like that logo. And she's like, well, who's your demographic? Who's your audience? And I described her audience and she's like, well, they're going to like that logo? I'm like, no, they're not. They're not going to like that logo. So then I had to go back to the drawing board and think, okay, here's my audience. Here's what they like. Here's what they respond to. So this is what the logo needs to be. Now, for my audience, it's a great logo. I don't like it, but I don't have to like it. I just got to make sure that everybody else likes it, and along with the messaging and everything. So for me, that was a real powerful example of reverse engineering my branding, starting at the very beginning, thinking about who do I want to reach? Who do I want to help? What do they like? What do they respond to? What do they need? And then moving forward with my branding and messaging in that vein.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. That sounds
All
really
right.
awesome. I'm excited about your upcoming launch, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Me too. I think I just put a date on. I'm going to make it real right now. We put a date of April 6th for the launch. So stay tuned. Stay
Okay.
tuned. All right. So we talked about common mistakes that business gyms and studios make when they're doing their branding. Where should they start? What's branding 101 for the gyms and studios?
Branding 101, the place to start with a gym studio is to first decide what exactly your goal is. Because when it comes to me, anyone working with me is going to have one of two goals. They're either, or one of three goals. They're either going to want to explode their in person business, meaning that they want to get more foot traffic in their actual gym. Or they're going to say, I'm ready to start using social media to get more foot traction in my door. Or they're going to say, I want to use social media and I want to build my in person brand and I want to develop a personal brand to make it all work together. So I would say that no matter what, the very first thing is going to be deciding who your target audience is and what it is that you want for your gym. The second thing is going to be determining how to get to your goal using social media. The answer here is always going to be social media. It's always going to be Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. It's going to be where the people are. So, yeah, you asked for the first step. That first step is getting clear. The second step, oh, you know what? To even clarify, that second step is determining which specific social media platform your target audience is on. For example, if you own a boutique fitness space like my friend Brittany, her audience is actually not on Facebook. Her primary audience is over on LinkedIn because
Hmm.
she deals with a lot of affluent people, a lot of CEOs, a lot of people who are decision makers. Now, that's not to say those people aren't on Facebook. It's just to say that we want to go to where we get the easiest yes. And those people are over on LinkedIn. Now, if you have a gym or a facility that focuses more on children or focuses more on adolescent and youth, your demographic might be over on Snapchat. Maybe you don't need to be focusing on Facebook or Instagram. So, to repeat what I'm saying, that first part is to determine what your goal is. And then that second part is going to be determining which platform is going to be, or which one is going to get you the best yes for whatever that goal is.
Got it. Okay. Got it. So, like in your experience, what's the breakdown of the platforms from a demographic standpoint?
Instagram is always going to be number one because it's a visual platform
Hmm.
and that is where most people are spending a majority of their time. I believe when I looked last, Instagram had something like 300 billion users. There's only seven, no, if they had something like 3 billion users, excuse me, there's only like 7 billion people in the world. So that means that half of us are on Instagram. That's a really big deal.
Hmm.
So those Instagram, uh, Facebook, and then it would go down to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is much more niche. Most people are afraid to target the high level CEOs, the affluent people, and it's because they don't feel like they know enough, or it's like they feel like they're not enough, or that's a whole other issue we can unpack later. But for that small demographic of people who do go after those high earners and those top performers, LinkedIn is always going to be the best way to go. And believe it or not, something that most experts are not going to tell you is that Reddit is an excellent platform
Hmm.
to go. Yeah, Reddit. Reddit has so many forums that will help you, whether it be growing your business, whether it be finding reliable virtual assistants to help you with your online business. Reddit is an excellent place to search for clients and to market your business. So those are the places.
Yeah. What about this new app that I keep hearing about, Clubhouse?
I have intentionally not been saying that while I've been talking about marketing, and here's why. So I stand on the fence with Clubhouse. This is about to be a winded explanation, but here you go. I
Okay.
stand on the fence with Clubhouse. I had an excellent opportunity many years ago with an app called Periscope. I got in on the early days and it helped me explode and get to where I am now. And that
Mhm.
same level of opportunity is available on Clubhouse, but there are so many people on Clubhouse who are instant millionaires, who are instant gurus, who are instant experts with no credibility, with no receipts, with no clients, with no success stories. And I hear them doing all this talking, and then I see those same people on Clubhouse for 24 hours a day talking, and I'm thinking to myself, damn, how are you closing anything? How are you running a business if you're just up here talking all day? And on another note, I run an actual business, so I don't have all day to just listen to people running their damn mouths. And Clubhouse is
Tell me how you really feel about it.
Clubhouse is a distraction. And an article just came out yesterday, Jim, which I will happily send you. But
Huh?
Clubhouse has also been caught for recording information and housing illegal information from their parties. That just came out yesterday.
Oh, yeah, data mining, metadata mining.
Yes, so that
Okay.
definitely, time a business gets big exposure like that, it's definitely going to hurt them. So I don't see that being good for Clubhouse. However, I will say this for Clubhouse: if you are someone who is brand new to business and you want ideas, I would say Clubhouse is the way to go because I have learned some really good techniques. I've learned about some great apps, some great opportunities. However, you cannot run a legitimate business and be on Clubhouse 24/7 a day. It just doesn't work like that.
I agree. I agree. If you're, I love these people who stroll out to the mailbox in their bathrobe to pick up their check as they, bump into their Lamborghini in the driveway. but, but, but yeah, it's like if you've gotten $1 million house, you're not strolling around in a bathrobe. You're fucking working, right?
Yes, yes,
You're moving and shaking, you're closing deals, you're doing stuff. You don't have time to sit on an app and talk all day. I agree with you 100%. As you become more valuable, your time becomes more valuable. Yeah,
that's
I
it.
agree with that. Okay, awesome. So we got that breakdown. So what are some of the most effective, like, yeah, because everybody's looking for this, that, like you said, the what Thomas Plummer calls the sexy parts, but you got to get down the fundamentals before you get to the sexy parts. Sexy parts come at the end, not at the beginning. And nobody likes hard work. Hard work is not sexy,
Mhm.
but it's necessary to get to the sexy part. So I typically don't like these kind of answers because I like to go deeper, which is why the podcast is 60 minutes, not 15, 20, or 30, because I like to take a deep dive because I think that's when you really understand the conceptual thing that you're trying to accomplish rather than a line item or a specific action, right? So, with that said, with that huge disclaimer, what are some of the single most effective things you've seen at people use to get their brand message out there?
Knowing how to properly stalk key members in their community. And here's the example that I'll give you. Knowing exactly that there are walking billboards in your community that are affluent, who have loud mouths, who love to talk about things, that you got to listen to what people are telling you, or at least listen to what other people say about other people. When other people say, oh, this person talks too damn much, that's not always a problem. That's a marketing opportunity for you if you're running a good business. So here's how I got super successful in Panama City Beach, Florida, and started training a lot of celebrities and a lot of people who were affluent and influent.
Hmm.
I started finding out who the movers and shakers were. Who are the top earners? I asked people who, if you were buying a $14 million home here, what real estate agent would you use? I started asking them questions like that because I know that real estate agents are connected. They're connected with the movers and shakers who are coming into town. So I intentionally sought out the most respected and the most known real estate agent. And then I started sending messages on LinkedIn. I sent messages on LinkedIn saying things like, hey, I'm Justin Brown, I'm in your area, blah, 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 whatever. It was not a sell. It may have just been something to add value. And then because I was local in the area, I would start bumping into her on accident, but intentionally in places that I knew she would be. Yes, I stalked this woman and I'm happy about it. And I'm telling y'all how I did it. And I hope you follow suit. You're asking me a key question. I'm telling you, this is how you get the business.
Uh-huh.
So I started paying attention to her movements, and then I started getting connected with her influence of friends, people that I knew she went to. She went to a specific Pilates studio. I had my friends start dropping mentions of what it would be like to have a personal trainer come to your house in between the days when you're training here in this Pilates studio. She loved the idea. And because I had already been in contact with her, because she'd already seen me, and of course, I run a lot of ads, so she was already familiar with me in that sense, it was a no brainer when someone mentioned me as a credible, reliable local expert. And because I got her as a client, I was able to start training people like Luke Bryan, Emerald Lagasse. I got to train Martha Stewart, Tony Braxton, all because I strategically sought out that one source that I knew was going to be a tap or a wealth of more information for me. So for those of you who have gyms, it would behoove you to use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, to target people that are in your area who are influential and affluential. I don't know about y'all, but I don't like having to chase people for my money. So I want to go to people who have money because it makes it easier for me to get that yes. So start asking people, do Google searches. Who are the top whatever in your area? Top real estate, top fire departments, top whatever. Who are the people in your community who are moving and shaking? And then you need to, of course, like I said, connect with them on social media, but then also send out strategic mailers to areas. I love a good mailer, and I will target it to the most affluent area code and send them information about who I am, give them an opportunity to experience a free session with me or experience a free weigh-in, or let me take them grocery shopping and show them how to properly select food for the family for free or something like that. I do all of that with the expectation of at least knowing who I'm talking to and expecting a return based on the fact that I know my audience good and I know my product. And again, I know my message and I know what the problem is of the audience that I'm going after. But if someone were looking to quickly grow their gym and they wanted it full of influential and affluential people, I would take the time to stalk those people, find out who their friends are, what restaurants do they go to, what do they drink, where do they hang out, where do they vacation. These are things that you can find just by going to their Facebook most of the time. These are things you can find. You know, people are always tagging people and stuff. So if I can find out, if I wanted to get close to Oprah, I wouldn't go directly to Oprah. I would find out who influences Gail because that's Oprah's best friend. And if I
Hmm.
couldn't get close to Gail, then I would figure out who influences Gail's best friend. And if I couldn't get close to them, who influences Gail's best friend's best friend? You see what I'm saying here?
Right.
That
Yeah.
network your way up to success.
Nice. I like that. And then that goes back to kind of your messaging and that whole topic that, we can address at another time. If you want to go after, like, say, influential and affluent clients, then you need to conduct your business in a way that those type of people will continue to do business with you. And it
Yes.
goes from your branding, your business practices, your appearance, on and on and on, right?
When I am attracting affluential clients, I rarely, if ever, offer a sale or a discount. I might offer an experience, and I wouldn't even call that free. I would just offer an experience. Would you like to come and experience a session with me, and we can discuss moving forward afterwards? I would never offer anything free. Why? Because those people are used to buying Louis Vuitton, and they've never gotten the Louis Vuitton bag for free. Those people are used to shopping at Tiffany's. Those people are used to buying Rolls Royces and high level Mercedes that you don't find on discount. So if
Mhm.
they're trained, or if they have a mindset of spending money on quality, high quality things, if I'm
Mhm.
presenting my solution to be high quality, it cannot be both high quality and cheap. That's not
Mhm.
how the work.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of times that requires the gym or the studio owner to shift their lens on which they view money.
No doubt. Oh, no
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah, yeah.
And
All right. Well, Justin, I know I'm tight on time, I should say, but this has been great. I appreciate you coming back on always. It's always good to talk to you. Always learn something. So you've been on before, so I've already asked you the 3 questions. So I got 2 questions, and I'm gonna borrow these with from my friend CT Cop, who my web guy who just started his own podcast. So, and I'm gonna put my own spin on them. But what is the most powerful business experience that you've had that's changed the way that you approach or do business?
So I told you I lived in Panama City Beach for 5 years. While I was there, I was also a massage therapist,
Mhm.
and I worked at a super high-end spa, which also helped me to meet a lot of celebrities and clientele and so on and so forth. While I worked at that spa, one of my best friends owned that spa, and I had to make a decision. This is a very long story short. I ended up realizing that I was being viewed more for the fact that I was able to just bring them a lot of money. They didn't really care about me as a person. I wasn't really respected, and so on and so forth. And then there was a whole series of issues with a coworker who was stealing money from me. And my best friend, my good friend, the owner of the spa, essentially did nothing about it. So I went to work one day and had to make a decision on the spot whether I was going to continue in this toxic circle, in this toxic loop, or if I was going to quit. I quit. I had no savings account. I had little to no, well, I had a minimal personal training clientele at that time. I really didn't know how I was going to make anything succeed or how I was going to make anything happen, but I knew two things. One, I wanted to preserve my energy. And two, I wanted to make sure that I was always happy and that I always chose myself. And because I chose myself and started a branding agency, I have now the same man whose job I walked away from has hired me now on 2 occasions. He's hired me to help him create a program called the Massage Millionaire, which has helped him to help him generate 6 figures online. And he's now in a position to sell his spa. I am in contract with him to help him sell that spa, and it will end up being the highest commission I've ever gotten from any of my personal contracts, which will end up being around $60,000. So that is a big lesson for me to always know that I need to preserve my energy and preserve myself and my happiness, and always be able and always be unwilling to allow anyone to compromise that. Because if I had stayed on at his spot, at his job, I was making good money. But if I had stayed there, it would have been a crutch, and I wouldn't be happy, and I wouldn't be here today. So I would say that that is one of the biggest business lessons off the top of my head that I could present you with.
Yeah, that's a great stay true to yourself and your values and your ethics. Yeah, no matter what, especially when it gets hard.
Especially, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they can. One of my clients told me you can always tell the character of a person when they're down. You
I
know.
could not agree with that more. And I think that that also rings true when it comes to health and fitness. If you
Hmm.
look at most of the trainers who are listening to this podcast, if they look at the people who have been with them the longest, they're probably the people who don't complain the most. They're probably the people who show up on time. They're the people who have the energy and the will and the desire and the hunger for the change. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, and then the last question is, what has been your most powerful personal experience that you feel altered the course of your life?
The My grandmother's death altered the course of my life. Long again, another long story short. I was raised by my grandmother, or yeah, I was raised alongside my grandmother, and I was living in Thailand for about 2.5 years, and I really thought that when I left, it was going to be the last time that I saw her. But I came home, but I got booked to speak on a speaking tour, and the moment that I got home after being away for 2.5 years, she got sick and she ended up going into ICU. The doctor told her she only had like 3 weeks to live. So I canceled the tour and I'm at home and I'm like, whoa, what a coincidence. After 2.5 years, I'm here and I get to say bye to my grandmother, love her, whatever. Those 3 weeks turned into 7 months. I ended up leaving Thailand. I let the condo go. And during those 7 months, I got to answer every call my grandmother made. I got to love and hug on her every single day. I got to bring her flowers. I got to sit in her house and show her pictures of me traveling around the world. I got to show her what it was like for her to raise a dynamic man. And that is some shit I will never forget. Being able to answer, my grandmother was also schizophrenic. And when I decided that I was going to stay home in Texas, I rented an office that was about a 20-minute drive from the house. And there would be some days, Jim, when I would literally get to my office and I would just open the laptop and my grandmother would call me and she would say, Justin, there are some men chasing me around the house. Okay, grandma, here I come. Shut the shit down, go home, chase the invisible men, hug on a lover, go back to the office. If I had a job, Jim, if I had an employer, I would never have been able to do those things and it would eat at me. But the fact that I'm an entrepreneur and I have the freedom and the flexibility, that is some shit I'll never forget. And I hope that it's a feeling that I'm able to give to other people because to know that her burial was financially, it was not a burden, to know
Mhm.
that there was nothing that she could want that I couldn't provide for, to know that I was able to be there in a time when she needed me the absolute most and I didn't have to ask anyone for time off or for permission to do what I wanted to do. That impacted me. Hope that
Yeah,
answered.
that's oh yeah, that's a powerful answer and a powerful example. I'm reading that book Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. Have you read that?
No.
I would highly recommend it. He's a really good writer, and I thought it's blown me away how just the whole book. But he talks about his dad, and he said his dad, he's the man he is because he had his dad in his life, but he's also the man he is because his father died. And so when those parents die, it's like your crutch gets taken away. You know, they were the people that carried on the family tradition, helped the family stay together. You know, the ones you went to for advice and everything. And then when you're gone, when they leave, then you have to grow into that position. And so that's what he talks about, why he's grateful that his father left him, because it helped him grow into the man that he is today. And I thought that was pretty powerful. And I can see that that also happened with your grandmother. So that's a real powerful example.
Undoubtedly, undoubtedly, my grandmother shaped my life. And again, that is a story that will just stick with me. That's something that if there were ever anything I were proud of, it wouldn't even be the world travel. It wouldn't even be the wealth or the money or the accolades or the exposure. It would be knowing that I was able to impact my grandmother on her last days and show her what she was able to do. That's so
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that, Justin. Where can people get in touch with you if they want to find out more, stop messing up their branding and get it right on track, all that good stuff?
People can reach out to me one of three ways. You can head over to justinbrown.biz and you can learn more about me. You can send me an email to justin@justinbrown.biz, or you can reach out to me on Instagram, Justin Brown Fit and Justin Brown Biz on Instagram. Either one of those
Awesome.
will.
Awesome. And all of those links will be in the show notes. Just go to trainerjim.net, click on this episode of the podcast, or the other episode of the podcast with Justin on it. And the links to contact him will be in the show notes. Justin, adios, amigo. That's about all the Spanish I know.
Thank you again so much for providing me with a platform, and I hope I there's some value. You are excellent, and I'm so grateful. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, thank you, man. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.